lot of research before I come because my time is so limited. So I'm checking things out. And of course, there are some shops that get a lot of attention online. I check them out, but I don't tell them I'm coming. I don't arrange interviews ahead of time because I need to walk in. I need to see the store. I need to meet the person. I need to see what it looks like. And sometimes it's the right place and sometimes it's not. And as you said, we don't cover any big major brands because you can find them in any city. That doesn't inspire you to travel to that place. And by finding local people, then you're hearing local stories and seeing things being made. You know it's not made in China. Nothing wrong with that. But you know if you go to Barcelona, you don't want something made in China. You want something made in Barcelona. So that's really what we're after. And I think that tells the story of the place through its people, through their art, through their design, through their inspiration.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a big defender of not buying products from big brands, and especially like for ethical reasons, but also for ecological reasons, and sometimes because this fast shopping industry of like getting things fast, it will last only some months. It's okay. Maybe you pay some more money for something produced locally, but if the quality is better, it's better that thing will last longer than buying something that it's three times cheaper produced in whatever in the world.
And you're supporting local people.
Yes.
You know, I often say this, you know, some of the places you go, as you know, their economies are struggling. And so I feel like when I come, I spend money in the hotel and on a guide or in a restaurant or for local products that are made there. So I contribute to their economy by coming and rather than foreign owned businesses, trying to do it to locally run places.
Nice. So your research market basically is then trying to find local brands in the internet, or like, do you contact people?
Well, I find them there first, and then I'm walking. I walk the whole city and just, again, going into shop after shop after shop, trying to look for just the most interesting, again, maybe the ones that don't get any play, you know, or they're just a mom and pop shop. They don't have any internet presence, but that doesn't mean they're not a great place for you to know about. So hopefully people depend on me, you know, when they follow our journey to see these places that they wouldn't have found on their own.
Cool. I think I've seen a lot of your videos, like preparing for the interview, and I realized that there is not a single type of shop that you go for. It's a little bit generic. Like in one place you enter a ceramics shop, and then in the next one you would be entering a shop that it's, I don't know, doing a lot of handcraft. I saw in the latest video at least, but I get the point. Like if you can get the experience of seeing how they are doing their thing, it's even better, no, I suppose. But
yes, that's our favorite.
I understand it. Like I carve wood, and it's one of my passions. And when I find a wood shop somewhere, I'm always spending too much time in these places, and then it's also inspiration.
Well, you're learning something, getting inspiration.
Exactly.
So yes, that's a great idea.
From all the shops categories that you've covered, what is the one that interests you the most?
Now that's not a fair question.
I know.
You know, I would say I don't have a favorite. I do like the ones that are making things in front of us. Because for one, I do have a little bit of a fascination. I wouldn't say I'm good with my hands, but I make a lot of things. Like I make all my own jewelry. I design my own clothes. I've made everything in my house. You know, so I love design and color and, you know, fashion and that sort of thing. So I'm inspired by that. So I love to watch people create things and then I learn something from it. But I don't, you know, I don't try and copy anybody. So I'm very appreciative when people are willing to show us how they make things that they know I'm not going to try and steal it. I'm not stealing their idea. I'm trying to show the world their creativity and their talent And again, that inspires people to want to go there.
Nice. Obviously, the creativity side, you have it. The traveling part, you have it. No, like the whole um, mixture makes sense that it results in the show that you are doing. But how did this idea come life? Like, in which moment in your life you decided, oh, okay, I'm because you already traveled to a majority of these 130 places before you start doing the show. It's not that you start traveling due to the show, no? It's more the other way
Yeah.
around, probably. What triggered the moment, or what's the moment of decision of like, why I don't do this?
Well, as I said, it was sort of just that epitome moment
Mm,
where all of a sudden, oh, I need to. But it's also turning a hobby into work, which, you have to think about that a little bit, because travel was my getaway from
mm,
work. Now it is my work. So there's a little bit of difference there. There's also a lot of pressure, and I understand that it's pressure we put on ourselves for how fast we need to put together a show. But it's also a little bit about budget and time. And, there are factors, the reason why we put such pressure on ourselves. But it's very different that when you're going and I'm searching for places I want to cover on the show. I'm not sightseeing and relaxing and enjoying.
mm,
It's working. It's fun work, but it's work all of the same. But when you're asking about this moment, it was like it laid out in front of me, and I could see what it was supposed to be. And truly, this is a summation of my whole life. In other words, it's impossible to separate Ms. World Traveler from Kerry Damiano.
mm,
It's the same, because it's all of my experience and my passion. Again, the style, the design, all of those things. That's why it makes it easy for me to cover those things, as opposed to what some of the other people are covering, the restaurants. I told you I'm not a foodie. So it doesn't make sense for me to cover restaurants when that's not my thing. This is my thing. And so, hopefully people are going to see something different and, be inspired, kind of like I'm inspired when I go. So yeah, it's just a culmination of all of my life experiences put together into a job that I made up for myself.
nice. You also like touch a point that I find very interesting, no? Because at the end, every project, this podcast as an example, it requires an amount of work behind that. It's not always seen on how much work do you put behind the scenes, no? But when when is for you the transformation between something being a hobby or like a side hustle to being your full job of things? Is it due to monetization? Is it due to sponsors? Is it due to bringing a revenue constantly that allows you to go to all these travels, or why is the reason that you considered that click that to be your work and not your hobby?
Right. I haven't figured that out yet, Mark.
Okay, then.
We haven't started making money from this yet. And it's partly
Mhm.
because we're still really working hard to grow our followership. And you have to be at a certain level before you can approach for sponsorships and partnerships and some of
Yes.
those kind of things. I hope that will come. If it doesn't, then that doesn't mean I'm going to work any less hard and be any less passionate about this. We'll see. Hopefully it will come. But we're working to get more exposure. So things like podcasts. We're now working with tourism websites to try and get them to partner with us to put our videos on their sites, because they typically have a lot more followers than we do. So it's a growth process. Nobody starts out at the top, as you know, and hopefully your trajectory is a quick one, but sometimes it's more like that, right? You grow a
Very
little
few.
bit.
Very few people.
If there's a secret, you should tell people and make $1 million, because everybody wants to know the secret.
Yes. Well, there is a lot of people selling courses for $1 million out there of the secret of being famous. The other thing is that they work, because if not, we will all be famous, no? That's a whole different story. Nah, I think it takes time, it takes hard work. And I kind of agree with the whole strategy. I also take this project, what it started like 3 years ago as a project. Now it is a side work, a second work, but it's work. It's production. It's I need to dedicate time to it, and therefore I put an effort as if it was a normal, regular work into it. No,
Right.
I was just curious if it was for you the same, or it really worked so brilliantly fast. Hope uh, for both of us. Let's say like this. It's difficult.
It would be nice to be an overnight success, but
Oh
there
yeah,
are very few of those.
very few. Do you remember from the places that you've been recently traveling, any shop, any local shop that you said, okay, this blowed my mind. I wasn't. This is something that marked me.
Ooh. I wouldn't necessarily say that it blew my mind, but I never thought about it before. We covered a store in New Orleans about a lady who made umbrellas. And you don't even think about somebody hand making an umbrella. You just, okay, that's an assembly line, mass production, kind of a thing. But she made these incredible with lace and fringe, and she had an amazing vintage collection, and then she'd show them, this has this kind of a canopy, and just information I'd never thought about. And it was just fascinating to hear her, who'd spent her whole life learning and collecting, share her information with us. And then, of course, we got to share it online too. So that, I just felt much smarter as I walked out, and even more fascinated with next time I, put an umbrella up, I'm like, I know more about that now. It's not as pretty as the one she had, but to me, that was just kind of surprising and very interesting.
Nice. Do you keep contact with all these people? Like, do you keep connected with the persons from the shops?
There are some places I've actually come back. In fact, in Athens, actually, the last time I was there was probably, I think it's been about 10 years. But I had covered a couple of stores there on a previous show that I did in the early 2000s. And two of the places were still in business, and the people who ran the shops were still there. And I came in and like, hello, and they remembered me. And so, it's not keeping in contact regularly, but you make a friend. And then when you come back, it's like seeing your old friends again. And there's something really quite fun about that.
Absolutely. If you liked this short video out of the full episode, you can find the link to it around here and in the description below. Of course, if you are also interested in checking out other episodes, please subscribe and like.